Are you an Etsy shop owner that's thinking, I need to start coming up with some new products in order to scale my revenue? Then this video is for you. In today's video, I'm going to talk about exactly why that new product idea, kind of knee-jerk reaction we have, could actually be slowing down your growth, and why there is a much easier path to scaling in a much faster way. And at the end of the video, I'm going to take you through a few Etsy shops, and I'm going to show you exactly what I would do to take these shops to the next level as quickly as possible. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dylan Jaras, and I am an Etsy shop owner of about 7 years. I've sold over $1.5 million in revenue on this platform, over $1 million in profit, and my entire background is corporate e-commerce. So before Etsy, I was working for Zappos and Zulily in buying and product development. So my experience is really in the planning, forecasting, buying, pricing strategy, product development side, and that's my expertise. I also currently sell on Amazon and Shopify, and I'm also teaching over 600 students how to scale their businesses to the multi-six-figure level on Etsy. If you like any of my videos, if you like real e-commerce strategy, definitely subscribe to this channel. We'd love to have you around, and I put out new videos every week. So I talk to Etsy sellers every day about their businesses. They tell me what's going right, what's going wrong, all the things they're trying that aren't working, and I listen to them tell me what they think they need to do to scale their business. And the most common miss here that I've seen is that they often think that they need to try to get more revenue out of their slow sellers, and that they need to add new listings and get new products in their shop. But in my experience, and I've seen this happen over and over again, working with $100 million portfolios at Zappos, working with new brands that we are launching at Zulily, and then here on Etsy, I've seen that that is actually totally backwards. And why this is because we're missing the low-hanging fruit. And I've found in every e-commerce business I've touched that to get the biggest impact and the biggest results in terms of revenue, I find that it's usually by doing more of what's working and doing it bigger and better and different. So why does this work? It's because when you pull levers on something that has a higher velocity of sales, it means that you're going to have a faster and exponentially larger result. So what does that mean? Let's look at two examples. Example one, let's say you are selling 100 $10 items every day. And for the purpose of the example, let's assume that the demand doesn't change when you raise it by $1. And if you raise the price by $1, it would increase your revenue by $100 in one day. Now instead, let's say you go and pull that pricing lever on something that has a slower velocity of sales, something that's maybe selling 10 units a day at $10 instead. Well, by raising the price $1 and pulling that price lever, you're only going to make an extra $10 per day. But by focusing on the area that has a higher velocity of sales, you're going to see a bigger impact on your total revenue. Another example would be, let's say you offer 3 sizes of an item that you sell 10 units per day on. And then let's say that you add in an additional 3 sizes, maybe larger and smaller than what you used to offer. So instead of just converting 10 people per day on that listing, do you think then maybe you could convert another 5 to 10 people who maybe wanted an option that was either larger or smaller than what you originally offered? Now let's compare this to going into a listing that's not getting sales. And let's say it's the same type of item, it has 3 sizes, and it's just not getting sales. No one's really coming to this listing, no one's really wanting it to begin with. So will adding more sizes suddenly make it desirable? No. So here we're focusing on improving what's already working for you versus improving something that's not working at all. And you're seeing an overall bigger impact on your revenue because the one that is working has a higher velocity of sales. Before we get into this, I want you to leave a comment below with your total lifetime revenue of your best selling listing, okay? In your dashboard, in your seller dashboard, under your listings stats, flip the toggle to turn on stats and tell me what the lifetime revenue of your best selling listing is. I think it'd be really interesting to see in the comments. So I recommend treating your shop like a basketball team. So all of your different listings are different players on the team. Some of them are stronger, some of them are not as good. 80% of your points are scored by maybe 20% of your players. So when your team is working towards a state championship, are you as the coach going to be training and coaching to the level of your weakest players? No, you're probably going to be pouring your energy and time into your star players to make sure that their performance is fully optimized. So just like that, we want to fully optimize the performance of our best best players, our best sellers. So now let's talk about your best sellers. What do you do with these? Many Etsy sellers are working really hard to turn their listings into bestseller listings. And then whatever is selling the best for them in their shop, they want to leave it alone and not touch it because they're afraid of messing something up. They're worried that if they change the SEO, it will mess up everything. But really, we do want to keep improving the listing. Yes, we leave our good SEO alone, the SEO that's working for you. And you know what that is based on listing stats. But the bad SEO, the SEO that you put in that's not working for you at all, that's still worth taking a second look at. We also want to continually be updating the description and the photos to be higher converting and creating less friction in the purchasing process. So when I talk about removing friction from the purchasing process, what do I mean by that? One thing is I have a really great way to do this with high converting descriptions. There is such a thing as having a high converting description. Sometimes I am shocked when I look at someone's best seller and I realize that it's nearly impossible to purchase it on mobile or without messaging the seller for clarification. I'm actually really excited when I take on a new student and I see that their bestseller is not optimized at all, because I know we can, 3, 4, 5, maybe even 10x the revenue of that listing just by optimizing it. So if you think your listings might have some friction in that purchasing process, just reach out, I'll tell you. Now, the next thing you want to do with your bestsellers is to constantly be improving the videos and photos. You definitely want these to keep evolving. As you become a market leader, you will notice that your listing photos start to get mimicked and copied. Setting things up the exact way you set them up, having the same color, design, everything that you have. If we're a market leader, we never want the runner-up to look just like ourselves. We definitely want to differentiate our photos from theirs so that there's no mistake that a customer would never think that it's potentially the same shop and instead buy from them. So always be 2 steps ahead with your listing photos and videos, and always have a better rendition in the works. And we're not doing this on all of our listings. We're really just focused on doing this for the best sellers. The next thing you need to keep doing with your best sellers is pushing them hard through site merchandising. And people think, oh, site merchandising, you can't do that on Etsy. You absolutely can. Site merchandising, really, it's all about increasing multi-item orders and keeping them in your shop for a long time. And we want your customers to find your bestseller listings everywhere they look, even if they're not looking for them. And your bestseller listings should also be pushed on social media just as much as your new products that you're launching. So you really want your bestsellers, those things that you're starting to become known for, to be everywhere people look, to be, right in their face. Now let's talk about SEO. So SEO with your bestseller listings. So you definitely don't want to remove any of the SEO that is working for that listing, but you can always improve it if there is a piece of the SEO that is not helping you at all. The other thing is I see a lot of sellers take whatever their bestseller is and take their SEO from the bestseller and put it into all their other listings. So even though titles are like 10% of your SEO, I notice right away when shops do this because all their titles, they're the same for a similar type of item. But you want to be making as many renditions of that bestseller as possible with completely unique SEO on each listing. So you want to be found for as many long tail keywords as possible. So maybe you're wondering, how do I come up with new renditions of my bestseller? It is what it is. Okay, I get it, but you can always do it bigger, better, and different. One easy way to do this is by launching new colors of that bestseller, and always pay attention to what the trending colors are. One tip here, do not look on Etsy for what trending colors are. Etsy is one of the last places to pick up on trends, so we definitely don't want to be doing our trend research on the Etsy platform. The next way to make new renditions of your bestsellers are to add in sizes, both bigger and smaller, as well as potentially bundles where they're buying multiple, or you're bundling that bestseller with something else in the shop that it might be frequently purchased with. Now, with these multiple renditions of your bestseller, you want to have as many types of listing photos as possible. And I'm talking about the main listing photo. There are people on YouTube who will tell you to have all of your listing photos in your shop look the exact same. I highly disagree with that because you're missing out on a huge opportunity to learn about your customers and to see how they best respond. If all of your main listing photos look the same, then how would you know if your customer might respond better to a different type of listing photo? What if a different style of listing photo could have a much higher visit to view ratio? So remember, views are really the opportunity to click on your listing, and visits are when they actually click on the listing. So we want at least half of the people that view an item to visit it. By testing out different types of main listing photos, you can compare that view to visit ratio and see what works best for your customers. So I always recommend trying out different listing photos in your shop to see what people respond to best. The next thing you want to do with your best sellers is to learn how to pull the price lever with them. And we want to pull it with the right amount at the right time. Knowing when to raise prices, that is a learned skill. scale. You have to understand two things here: your customer's price resiliency and your position in the competitive landscape. So I found a lot of sellers will pull that price lever too early, raise their prices too soon because they finally think they've gotten some traction with an item. And when they pull it too soon, oftentimes they kind of shoot themselves in the foot and then they're back at square one trying to build up traction again. So I really caution people against pulling that price lever too soon. I've seen this happen over and over again in hundreds of shops at this point. We do not want to be swinging the pendulum. So just because something is a bestseller for your shop, it doesn't mean that you are the market leader on Etsy for that item yet. It might just be your bestseller because maybe the rest of your things aren't selling. And you really need to be careful with pricing. It is a learned skill. On the other hand, if you have a bestseller in your shop that is also the market leader on Etsy for those long tail keywords, for those search terms, then I recommend really focusing on a customized pricing strategy for this item because it will have a much bigger impact on your top line revenue versus focusing on pricing strategies for your slowest sellers. So with your best sellers that are also market leaders, pull the pricing lever carefully and slowly. Also know how long to test it before reverting back to any of your old pricing. Now let's dive into a couple shops here. I want to show you what I would do to fully optimize some bestseller listings in some other Etsy shops here. So let's take a look at this example. They look like a mosaic tile shop and they have only 12 listings. We found that they have several bestseller listings in their shop, and then the other listings, it's not clear how well they're doing. So what I would be doing if this was my shop, I would be noticing, okay, the rainbow circular tiles are doing well, the petal leaf tiles are doing well, and the triangle tiles are doing well. And it looks like some of the teardrop ones have add to carts as well as the jigsaw puzzle ones. So what I would be doing, instead of looking at my maybe gecko art craft or the owl or the stone tile lidded boxes, instead of really focusing on the pricing strategy for these listings and trying to figure out how I would get these to move, I would be looking at my best sellers and think, how can I do more of that? So what I might consider, if you look at these listings, they only have 10 different colors right now, and it's all a single size. Step one, I would offer different sizes. And then I would also offer some different color schemes. So this is very bright rainbow. What if you offered something that was more of a muted color scheme collection and maybe pick up on some really trendy colors for, 2023 and add them in. So it's not just rainbow. The next thing I would also do is consider what type of shapes could I offer. And with this, I'd actually be looking at my current customers to see what else they have shown interest in on Etsy and to see if I find anything that's a commonality, something that they've kind of all been interested in that I haven't offered in my shop, hearts or stars or something like that. The next thing I would also do here is offer different quantities. So size, color, shape, and quantity. I would go with both higher and lower quantities so they don't have to purchase 100 pieces. Maybe they could purchase a sampling of 25, or maybe they could do a bulk buy of, 500 pieces or 1,000 pieces. I would really be focusing only on these listings right now. They have 12 listings, over 9,000 sales. This would really be the fastest way to take this shop to 20,000 sales. That's hands down what I would be doing immediately if I was this shop. Now, in terms of the price lever for this shop, looks like their pricing is pretty competitive. I'm not sure what their margin is on these, but I would definitely be taking a look at this in my profit calculator to see how much they're actually making per transaction and what their average order value is. Yeah, with prices like this, I would be really focused on driving up their average order value. And I think adding in those quantity options would really help with that. Another thing I would do with this shop is a little bit of competitor analysis to see, okay, where are we in the market? Are we the cheapest? Is the next number two runner up? Are they, $5 above us or maybe 50% higher than us in their pricing? That would give me a little bit more confidence in pulling the price lever as well. I would do a lot of analysis before doing that on my best sellers. Now we're going to take a look at a digital shop and look at their best sellers and see how we would scale their revenue in the fastest way possible by focusing on their best sellers. So let's take a look at this shop. Now they have almost 12,000 sales, 94 listings for a digital shop, which isn't a ton, but you can see everything is the same price and nothing's on sale. So we can see all the add to carts and see what people are most interested in. But you see on page one, over 20 people added those sunglasses SVG bundle to the cart. 3 people added the mama bear with the sunglasses to the cart. And then they have more people with the peace and love sign SVG in the cart. Out of all their 94 listings, they seem to have about 4 listings that are getting a lot of interest. So what I would do is focus on doing those bigger, better, and different with more renditions of those listings. So like with the sunglasses one, over 20 people have added that to the cart. I would maybe offer this with different colorways, maybe make them cheetah print. And then I would maybe change up the colors on a few listings. And then maybe I would change up the shape of the sunglasses on a few listings. listings: circular sunglasses, oversized sunglasses, and maybe star sunglasses. And then I would maybe even create a listing that bundles all the different sunglasses SVG files that I have in my shop. So the whole collection, maybe it's, ends up with 10 listings or something that are included in that one bundle. So this is really interesting because the shop is not at all optimized. The SEO is completely missing, and the listings themselves aren't optimized either. So they could be doing way more just by focusing on optimizing their listings. And I would also be looking at potentially the price lever here. Everything in their shop right now is $1. So I'd be curious, I'd take a look at how long has this shop been open? How fast has the pace of growth been month over month? So I'd be looking for those month over month increases. Is it growing 25% month over month? Is it growing 50% month over month? How many months in a row has it been steadily increasing? Is this shop maybe just a month old? I would not be pulling the price lever at this point if the shop is a month old. Even if it has 20 add to carts, I would definitely stay consistent with it. For a shop like this with these prices, I would wait at least, till that listing has made them at least maybe $1,000. So that is just one example of how I would take a bestseller listing for this shop and do more of that. I would not be going into things that are getting no views and trying to update the SEO. I would not be going into the listings that are getting no favorites, no interest, slashing the price. If someone doesn't want their listing at $1, they're not going to want it at 75 cents. That's really where I'd be putting my time and energy right now, into the bestsellers, doing more renditions, driving up the average order value with bundles, pulling the price lever when appropriate, and then having as many long tail keywords as possible tied to those renditions so that they're getting in front of as many customers as possible. Definitely one set of SEO is not enough to get that listing in front of all the people who might be interested in it. There's a lot of people who might be interested in the sunglasses SVG files who don't even realize that something like that exists yet. So it's really about getting your products in front of people who might not realize they exist, but might also be interested if they only knew. So what's the point here? If you put your time and energy into focusing on maximizing and optimizing your bestsellers and really leaning into those versus kind of getting distracted by an impulse to improve your slower sellers, you will see exponentially greater results with your top line revenue. The goal is really to raise the ceiling of your shop's earning potential as much as possible. And that's why we want to focus on our star players. So if you need help with this, if you need help implementing the strategy into your shop, if you want my eyes in your shop, in your listings, I'd be happy to go through everything. That's part of what I do with my students. So reach out. You can always schedule a call below as well if you want to get me involved in your shop and in your growth. You can schedule a call and we can get you set up for that. Otherwise, reach out anytime on Instagram at Dylan Jarris or email team@dylanjarris.com. And if you like the video, please subscribe to the channel. It means so much to me. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video.